Hi, I'm Dr. Sawicki, and I'd like to welcome you to this DVD, Introduction to Buddha Tooth Tai Chi. Now, you heard me right. I said Buddha tooth. That's tooth as in teeth. And it's something that you probably have never heard of before. However, it's vital to learning Tai Chi. You know, there's usually 5 families that represent Tai Chi. And some of them have these large movements, others have small, twisting movements. Some of them have an explosion, but none of them talk to you about your teeth. And I want to prove to you today that this is going to be the most important Tai Chi DVD that you'll ever buy. You know, when these families in China, they got together, all these Tai Chi families, and they celebrated, they would sit at the dinner table, and that's where the secrets to Tai Chi were exchanged. The master's son would be sitting at the table, and he'll see a fly, and he'll try to grab the fly, and he'll miss. And the master will say, "Use your chi." So the second time, the son looks for a fly, finds one, snatches it. He's got it. From that moment on, he never misses. That's where the secrets to Tai Chi are given, at the family table. And this is where they give you the food to chew. And this information that you chew is what you're going to digest and you're going to swallow. Now, they do teach you the importance of swallowing your saliva all the way down to your dantian. But they don't teach you in public how to chew the vital information with your teeth and swallow that down to your dantian. And this is where you're going to learn just a little bit of that information in this basic introductory class. And it's only $24.95 for this DVD, which is a bargain if you consider over the lifetime of the average Tai Chi student, all the seminars, all the books, all the classes, the time away from home, this Tai Chi student is going to easily spend over $100,000 in his lifetime for information that does not compare to what you're going to get in this DVD. All right, let's begin with some basics. You're going to enjoy this. My 30 years of experience studying Tai Chi under several masters, practicing every day, reading, looking at videos, it's taught me that the fastest and easiest way to learn Tai Chi is through your teeth. Now, this might be difficult for you to grasp, but to me, it's the truth. Fastest, easiest, and nobody's teaching this. During this DVD, unfortunately, there's not a lot I can say about teeth. You need to check my website, and it really helps to have personal instruction. But I'm going to give you the basics that you're going to need in order to know how to connect the teeth with your Tai Chi. Really, what's very important is to start with a good connection to the earth. So I recommend practicing your Tai Chi barefoot with socks, moccasins, or some of these newer minimalist running shoes where it has a 0-degree incline and about a 4-millimeter thick sole. You need a close connection to the earth so you can feel the vibrations and what's happening between you, the earth, and the sky. So that's a key. Get yourself close. Don't wear these big bubble shoes that dampen all the vibrations and supposedly protect your knees and your hips. Those are good for certain, sports, but not for Tai Chi at the basic beginning level. Whether you're new to Tai Chi or you've been studying for 10, 20, 30 years, pretty much you probably know some of the basics. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, relax, slow, focused movements. When you go up, you inhale. When you go down, you exhale. Those are all the basic tenets, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So I'm not going to go over all of those today. But I do want to stress that, everybody tells you to focus on your lower dantian, 1.5 inches below the belly button, right in the center between the spine and the belly button. Everybody tells you, focus there, focus there. Imagine that you see a sun or a moon. I personally think that that's good if you're an advanced student. To put all that effort into the lower dantian, I think at the beginning is not that valuable. My experience has taught me that the best place to study Tai Chi is at the extremities, the fingertips and the toes. That's where you should start with your attention and have a little bit of attention in your lower dantian, but most of the focus at the beginning stages, fingertips, toes. In other words, when you're doing your training, your toes and your fingers have to contract and expand. You have to focus on your feet. Masters don't show you their feet. You wonder why. Because that's where the connection is to the earth, the physical connection. And they can't show you their feet. They're not going to. The toes are really important. So when you're doing your Tai Chi or any type of exercise, stretch those toes out as far as you can. Scrunch them in. It's like an eagle clawing into a branch for stability, clawing into a mouse for his dinner, and then relaxing the toes. You've got claws on your toes, and you retract and extend them. Same thing with the fingers. This is where your attention should start at the very beginning of your training. Secondly, people talk about the bubbling well in the bottom of the foot. Here's a minimalist shoe that I really enjoy. And your teacher is probably going to tell you, focus on the bubbling well. Feel the energy bubbling up from the earth into your kidney 1 point. Out of the hundreds of students that I've met over the years, out of the 100 million Tai Chi students out in the world, do you know how many can actually feel the energy bubbling up from the earth into their kidney 1? You know how many? I might be able to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple. So I don't think that's really important. It's easier to visualize 3 points on the sole of your foot, right in the middle of the heel, right on the side here by the ball of the foot on the left side by the small toe, and on the ball of the foot under the big toe. 3 points. This is where you should be focusing, in my opinion. Imagine that you have some sort of a stake pushing out. And every time you step into the earth, you're pushing those 3 stakes deep into the earth. Never think about your bubbling well point. It's easier to feel the stakes pushing into the earth. And when you do that, it's just an automatic law of nature. The energy is going to come up through your kidney 1 point. The next point to think about are the joints of the body. So let's travel from the toes up through the body, And let's see what's really important to stay focused on. We covered the toes, the stakes at the bottom of your feet that are pushed out and digging into the earth. Well, now we have the joints of the body, the ankle, the knee, the hip joints. They've got to be flexible. So you want to spend time during the day flexing your ankle, your knee, and your hip joints. You don't have to do this during a serious practice. You can do this at work, at the store, when you're just standing around, but you want to stretch those joints and make them a little bit more flexible than they are. The thing about the joints is especially in yoga, but Tai Chi, we do stress the joints have to be opened to let the energy flow through the body. Well, how do we do that? Most teachers will say, relax the joints. Imagine there's a crystal ball here and it's filling up with light, and relax your joints so that the light can penetrate that crystal ball. And then, especially in yoga, they do all these stretches, bends, pulling, trying to get those joints to open up. Actually, the best way to open up your joint is from the inside, not from the outside, stretching, pulling, pushing, but mentally from the inside. You have to imagine that there's like a spring, and you have to, with your mind, push that spring outwards, right inside of your joint. And this is going to happen with your mind. It's just going to spread out and open up, stretch your joint out. It's necessary to use your mind and your body, so you're going to tense up the muscles around your joint while you're using this imagination. And you only work on one joint at a time. First the ankle, tense up your ankle a little bit, and try to get your imagination to get that spring to push your joint apart. Another way, when you're more advanced, is you could imagine that there's a lotus flower, and this lotus flower is growing and budding and opening up inside your joint until it's wide and bright. And this is an imagination you do with your mind. You force with a lot of mental pressure that lotus flower to open up right in the center of your joint. That's the best way to open up the joint for energy flow. So we travel up the hips, we'll go up the spine. The spine is flexible. I wouldn't worry about your spine. If you do all these other exercises and imaginations working from the toe to the fingertips, your spine is automatically going to get itself into the right position and it'll open up. Work from the outside and your body will instinctually take care of the inside. So let's go up to the neck and the shoulders. Imagine that you're the Greek god Atlas. Atlas has this huge earth on his shoulder. It's behind his head, and he's supporting it. Imagine and get that feeling and have your hands up here and kind of sink a little bit, because that is heavy and it's on your shoulders and you have to feel that weight. You have to tense a little bit. You've got to get your mind and your body. You just can't sit there relaxed, totally relaxed, and get that feeling. You have to actually tense the muscle a little bit. So it's heavy. It's heavy. Maybe you want to hold it a little differently. Bring your hands up there depending on the position you're in. But imagine it's a huge, huge weight on your shoulders, and you're supporting it with your hands, maybe down here with your hands. Imagine that there's bats flying overhead, and you're ducking your head, avoiding the bats, and you're looking for them. and you're ducking your head like a tortoise retracting its head into its shell. Shoulders come up a little bit, and you're hiding your head. Maybe there are bullets flying at you, and you're trying to dodge the bullets. So you've got this weight above your head. You're ducking your head. You're looking at the bats, trying to avoid them. This is a feeling that you try to have in your mind and in your body. So we'll go down the head, arms, to the fingertips. Very important, not most, but very important. Everybody tells you in Tai Chi, focus on the fingertips. I take that a step further. I focus on my claws, the fingernails, not the fingertips, but the fingernails. Imagine that your nails are being pushed out, extended into the distance. If you just focus on the fingertips, you're not getting the full connection. And this could be a problem in your later training. So, how many teachers tell you to focus on your nails, your fingertips? I've never heard it, but that's one of the secrets that you get at the dinner table. One last imagination. The most difficult for me in my training has been feel like you're suspended from the sky to the crown point by a string. You know, I could never get that feeling. After 30 years, I could never get that feeling that I'm suspended from the sky. What does that mean? You know, I don't know. Until I discovered there's another way to look at that. Very simple. Imagine there's a heavy weight balanced on the top of your head. Now, I don't know why, but that I get. Maybe because in the past I have had heavy weights on the top of my head. I don't know, playing football or sports, you know, you have to do a little headbutting. But I know what that feels to have a heavy weight on my head. And I can reproduce that feeling, and I've got it. So you walk around, you do your Tai Chi, like there's a heavy weight on your head. And you don't want to drop it, so it's got to stay balanced. And you're going to be suspended as if on a string from the sky. Learning Tai Chi is all about feeling old memories. The feeling part is really important. You have to feel and put that connection into your Tai Chi form. Now, being suspended from the crown point is difficult for many people because they never had the experience burned into their memory, not even once. You have to imagine and guess what that feeling is. And your Tai Chi will take years to develop without a memory of it. A few people are lucky, like winning the lottery. They guess really quickly, but most take a lifetime to figure it out. Your teacher's job is to convey the feeling of suspension to you. Very difficult with suspension. First, you'd have to grow your hair into a ponytail and fashion it into one thin braid. Then you need someone to pick you up by your braid while you struggle to do Tai Chi forms dangling in the air. Now that's ridiculous and not practical as an adult in the modern world. However, not impossible in ancient China. In those days, parents would give their son to a master. The boy would leave home and live with the master. You could imagine a master would do just that to a young kid. Child abuse wasn't a legal issue in those days, and even so, hanging by a braid from your scalp isn't that uncomfortable if the braid is thick enough. So that's possible that some masters actually did that, dangle their young child from the scalp just to give them the feeling of suspension. Even today, masters ask some of their young students to stay in a horse stance. Elbows horizontal, balancing a rice bowl on each elbow. If they move and the elbow drops, the bowl shatters to the ground, the master whacks them with a switch or stick, which can create a welt. That's a memory never forgotten, but getting whacked with a stick is really a fast way to create a certain memory needed for good Tai Chi. You can't do that in the US. So how do you get the feeling of suspension? There are many ways, and one of the easiest is to walk a mile barefoot with a heavy object balanced on the top of your head. Now I said heavy, not a book or a large Bible, but heavy like a sandbag. Do that on a rocky, steep climbing trail, not the flat, easy asphalt of your neighborhood street. A mile each day for a couple of months on rocky ground, barefoot, with a heavy load on your head, and I'll guarantee you'll get the feeling of suspension. Now this simple tip alone is worth more than the cost of this DVD. And you'll hear more tips like this throughout the DVD. Now the next best way to get a feel for suspension is to do headstands without hands or wall for support. I'd like to tell you a little story. I met a master, and he agreed to give me personal training for a week if I would fly him out to my city, put him up in a nice condo on a beautiful resort beach, which I did because it's rare to find a master that'll spend a week with you alone. The whole week was very expensive, in the neighborhood of $6,000, but I was happy with the results and I don't regret it. At the end of the week, this master asked me how much I had spent over the years on my Tai Chi education. I had at one time actually sat down to figure out that dollar amount, so the number of over $100,000 was my answer. He then told me that through the week's private sessions with him, he had given me an extra 10 years to my life, and he asked me if I thought that was worth $100,000. I was a little shocked because I thought he was implying he wanted me to give him $100,000 more than I already had. Besides, I didn't have that kind of money at the time, but he thought I did. And believe me, I would have given him $100,000 over 10 years, and I'd take up 2 jobs just to get that money. If he could prove to me that I did get an extra 10 years of life. You know, over 10 years, $10,000 a year is not that much to pay for an extra year of life on earth. But it can't be proven. I can promise you, however, that the Buddha Tooth Tai Chi belt method can be proven to improve your Tai Chi, and if you do the training, you'll prove it to yourself. Now, how much is that worth to you? I truly believe it's worth more than $100,000. So, if you're happy with the results you get, and you want to send me an extra $1, 10, 100, $10,000, any amount you feel it's worth to you, I won't hesitate to accept any amount over this low price of $24.95 because this DVD is worth its weight in gold and more. Let's remember, Tai Chi is a unification of mind, body, spirit. So often I see Tai Chi classes and they're saying, be relaxed, relax, don't tense up. Yeah, you know, that's one way to learn Tai Chi, but it's a slow method. Maybe it's necessary if you're ill, you're elderly, you're frail, but if you have any vigor at all, that is a slow way to learn Tai Chi. And I'd recommend at the beginning, especially if you're really a new student, 1% of your Tai Chi should be really relaxed. 99% of it should be using some muscle, because you have to use body and mind. So much of Tai Chi today is taught by relaxation, which is important. But Tai Chi is the grand ultimate, meaning it has relaxation and it has tension. What's important is to find the right balance, the balance between relaxation and tension. And that's muscle tension. So don't be afraid to tense up your muscles. Sometimes you're going to be real tense. Sometimes you'll be real relaxed. What is Tai Chi? There's a lot of reasons people study Tai Chi: for your health, self-defense, relaxation. Tai Chi is the ultimate. It covers everything. However, what's really important to me is survival. And that's survival of myself, my family, my friends, and the whole human race. And that brings up the topic of instinct for survival. What's really important? If you want to survive, you need self-defense. If you want to survive, you need to procreate. You need to have sex and have children. I use Tai Chi for self-defense and my health. But if you're going to use it for self-defense, you have to turn on your instinct for survival during your practice. And imagine if you're in combat and it's like you or your opponent, are you going to be relaxed, or is there going to be some muscle tension? Just imagine yourself in that situation. I think when it comes down to life and death, you're going to be very tense. You're not going to be waving your arms around sleepy. You're going to be pretty tense. Tai Chi has to turn on your instinct for survival. And that means turning on your claws and your teeth. Because when it comes down to the very end, and you're in a mortal combat situation, people will claw their way out. They'll bite their way. They'll do anything they can to survive. Usually the very last resource people have is their teeth. Nothing's working. They're going to start biting their opponent. They're going to claw. So while you're doing your Tai Chi, you have to be able to turn on that instinct for survival. You have to turn on your claws, your teeth at any moment. When you're in stillness, when you're relaxed, at any moment in that state, you have to be able to trigger your instinct for survival. And if you're doing Tai Chi and that just doesn't spark at any moment, then you have a little more work to do in your training. If you'd like more information on this topic of turning on your instinct for survival, you can read my book, Teeth in Mortal Combat, where I discuss this topic in detail, and maybe it'll show you a different way to start training. So let's talk about muscles. What's the strongest muscle in the body? Some people say the calf is the strongest muscle in the body. The one with the most endurance, that's the heart. And the muscle that is the smallest in the body, well, that's in the ear, and we're going to talk about that later with ear breathing. But the stapedius muscle inside your ear is the smallest muscle in the body, and you have to know this, and you have to try to contract that stapedius muscle. The biggest muscle in the body is the glutes, the biggest muscle, and those are strong. But the muscle that creates the most pressure in the body is the masseter. The masseter is the muscle that you use for chewing and biting, connects the jawbone to the head. This is the key to training Buddha tooth Tai Chi using your teeth. Have you ever read about cooking your chi, cooking your chi to the point of boiling it? And a quicker way to get your chi to boil is by pressure cooking it. Have you heard of that? Pressure cooking your chi. Pressure. Well, there's a connection there. Pressure cooking your chi, and the strongest muscle in the body is the masseter, which presses. In my experience, the fastest, the easiest way to cook your chi is by using your masseter muscle, the tongue, the lips, the face. That's the area which I feel is missing in Tai Chi teaching. What is Tai Chi? Sensitivity and power. We have a lot of power with the masseter and the teeth and the jaw. Where is the sensitivity? The tongue. The tongue is one of the most sensitive organs in the body. It has more connections to the brain than almost any other part of the body. And it is the most dexterous muscle in the body. So we have power in your jaw, we have sensitivity, we have dexterity. This is where you're going to learn the most Tai Chi, the fastest, after you connect it to the rest of your body. And that's something which will take a little bit of personal instruction, but I'm going to give you some basics to help you get connected. So I'm going to get a little more comfortable, take my tie off, and we'll get down to a little bit more active training. What's this? This is a Velcro belt, 2 inches wide, and I got this at my neighborhood hardware store. What's a belt doing in Tai Chi? They don't give out belts in Tai Chi, right? Maybe they don't give them out unless you're at the dinner table. And that might be why you've never heard of a Tai Chi belt. But this is crucial to getting your Tai Chi started, learning about your Dantian. Where is it? What's it doing? So I recommend you go to the store and get 2 of these Velcro belts, 2 inches wide. You wrap it around your waist, under your belly button. Very important. This has to go under your belly button. Never let it go over your belly button. You're too close to abdominal aortic artery. It's too easy to apply pressure on that artery. You don't want to do that. Keep the belt below your belly button. Suck in your stomach. Make it as tight as possible. Under your clothing. I'm demonstrating on top of my clothing. You're going to do this under your clothing against bare skin. Suck in your belly. Make it as tight as you can. Get your second belt. Put it on in the opposite direction. Cover the first belt. You have to do this because it slips easily and it's hard to get enough pressure on your abdomen. Suck in your belly. Get that tight under your belly button. Now, we're not using this as a weight belt, which you're probably familiar with. We're not lifting heavy weights, barbells. We're using this to break out of your box. You're going to wear this belt only during your training, not later on in the day. You don't want to wear this all day long. You want to wear this maybe 30 minutes, 40 max. You know, if you're doing Tai Chi more than an hour, I believe you're wasting your time. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, boom, you're done. You're going to try to break out of your box, break out of this belt. And how are you going to do that? Let's just start standing straight. Inhale. Try to push everything out. And while you're inhaling, get ready to exhale, but do not stop pushing. That has to be sustained, consistent pressure breaking out of that belt. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. At all times, without any break at all, try to expand and snap that belt through the back, through the spine, through the sides, in all directions. Explode out of your box. Inhale. Exhale. Now, it helps to get a little body movement, so you bounce a little bit. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Break out. Expand. Snap that belt. Come on. Bounce a little harder. Inhale. Exhale. Break that belt. This is where you're going to learn all about your dantian, where it's at, and some of the stuff it's doing that you never felt before. As you become more advanced, and you don't have to stamp and really build yourself into that, you're going to visualize your dantian, a pearl where it belongs, or the sun or the moon. You're going to visualize that. And then, keeping that pearl there, you're going to visualize another pearl spinning around your belt on the inside, not the outside, but on the inside of your belt. You're going to get another pearl spinning around horizontally, and then you're going to get another pearl spinning around in other directions. You're going to see this visually, and to have that belt there and trying to break out of that box, you're going to get your energy so excited that your chi is going to boil, and this is all going to happen to you, with you, for you. And this is what you need to do to get into your Tai Chi and out of your box. All right, let's pause for a second and talk about the Buddha tooth belt. What are we trying to accomplish? You're using your core muscular connective tissue strength. You're strengthening your diaphragm. And you're working on your breathing, your Tai Chi breathing. In order to have smooth, continuous, uninterrupted breathing, you need a strong core and a strong diaphragm. And the Buddha tooth belt is the best, if not the only, way to achieve this. I strongly recommend trying this practice. You'll be amazed at how better your Tai Chi will become. You'll be more connected. You'll be more centered. There are so many benefits to the Buddha tooth belt. You'll just be amazed. As far as uninterrupted breathing, your Tai Chi just won't go anywhere unless you become real good at it. You need a strong core and abdominal diaphragm. This can be taught in many ways also, but most people don't even get it after 20 years of practicing Tai Chi the way it's taught to Tai Chi students, over 100 million devotees in the world. It's a long, lonely journey repeating Tai Chi forms 100,000 times in order to get a feeling of uninterrupted breathing, especially if you have no memory of the feeling from past experiences. And that's what most teachers ask their students to do. It's mostly guesswork. That's why you purchased this DVD. It's going to save you years of tears, and it's really a bargain at the price. Now remember, the most difficult spot in your breathing to keep it smooth is at the point of transition from the inhale to the exhale and from the exhale to the inhale. When you do the belt training, your core structure has to expand like a balloon, pushing out in all directions, and do not lose the pressure in your balloon at any point in the transition from inhale to exhale and exhale to inhale. What else is the belt good for? I promise you, once you begin the Buddha tooth Tai Chi belt method, every aspect of your Tai Chi will improve because your breathing will become uninterrupted. A side effect is that your joints will open up automatically. Your joints have to be open before the Qi flows smoothly and continuously, just like the breath. Joints that aren't open are the little kinks in your body that prevent smooth Qi flow. Continuous breathing with open joints will make all aspects of your Tai Chi flow smooth. You'll become centered, rooted, suspended, alert, ready to move before your opponent even thinks about moving. Everything is connected in more ways than you might realize, and the Buddha tooth belt method ties everything together almost effortlessly. I say almost effortlessly because using the belt during your Tai Chi practice takes a little more effort than the dreamy waving of the hands in the clouds. Once you put in the work, however, you'll have Tai Chi mastery. Buddha tooth belt method is the union with breath and Qi. It's the yoke that connects you to the inner machinery of Tai Chi. You know, the Buddha tooth Tai Chi belt training is the easiest, fastest, safest, cheapest way to learn uninterrupted breathing to bring your Tai Chi up to the next level. But if you're new to Tai Chi, or if you've never really done any physical Tai Chi, you have to change things around a little bit. Eventually, you do more and more relaxed Tai Chi as you get older and older, and you don't have that physical to move around. But you know, the idea is to create a memory in your body That's why they teach Tai Chi from the time that you're 5, 6 years old, to create a memory. What's the easiest way to create a memory? You impact the body. You get it tense. You make some sort of a physical bang into your body. That's where you're going to have a memory. Then later on, you kind of relax your muscles. You don't need that deep drive with your muscles because you already have a memory, and that memory is going to help you move your chi and accomplish what you're interested in. They'll tell you, oh, do this form 100,000 times, and then you're gonna know Tai Chi. Do it like 100,000 times. Well, that's the slow way to learn Tai Chi. If you haven't been taught as a child, that's the slow way, and it's a good way. It's a good way. But if you want to learn something a little quicker and faster and easier, you get the teeth involved, and you get a little bit of pressure from your master and your jaw and your body. Now, to discuss the topic of the Z energy bag and your dantian, I'd like you to know that today science is discovering that we actually have 3 brains. The brain in our head, the heart is the second brain, and the gut is the third brain. If we look at the heart, it's a pump. When people go into cardiac arrest, the way to save them is to manually compress the chest to pump the heart. So you can also do this with your lower dantian. Compress the dantian using your hand. I'd like you to find a chair to sit on and sit on the edge of the chair and just relax. Put your hands on your lap and use your imagination. Bring your hand over your heart and imagine that your hand is penetrating your chest and it's holding the heart, and you're squeezing and pumping your heart. Squeezing, relaxing, squeezing, relaxing. Feel this in your chest. Try very hard to feel it, squeezing your heart. You can do the same thing with your lower dantian. Take your hand over your bottom belly button and imagine that you're placing your hand within the area of the dantian, and you see your moon or your sun, whatever visualization is easy for you. You see it. It can also be a lotus flower. Place your hand within your abdomen and squeeze the sun and relax the sun. Try to feel it. Use your mind. Drive your mind real hard to get that feeling of squeezing the sun that you see and then relaxing it. Now take your Z energy bag, put it on your lap, and squeeze the Z energy bag. Connect that bag with your dantian. Connect it with the sun or the moon that's in your dantian. When you squeeze the bag, imagine that the moon is becoming brighter. And then you relax. And then you squeeze the bag harder, and the moon becomes even more brighter. And you repeat that process. Squeezing, the moon gets brighter. Relax, squeeze again, the moon becomes even brighter. And try to feel the connection between the hands, the brain, and the third brain, your gut, which is holding your lower dantian. That's how we're squeezing your dantian. It's the connection between the bag, your hand, your brain, and your third brain, the lower gut. With practice, you're going to find when you squeeze hard, it's just going to be automatic. You will visualize the brightness of your moon or sun increase. And this is one of the goals that I'm trying to connect with you, and getting some control over it using the Z Energy Wake Up Exercise Bag. As a reminder, do not use this belt unless you're in good physical condition, you're healthy, you're not taking medications, you're not seeing your doctor for some ailment. There are some issues you have to be careful about, and one is, in order to use the Tai Chi belt, you have to be pretty healthy. So get yourself healthy. You can do that, and then when you build up your energy and you're stronger, then use the belt. Well, how do I know I'm ready? Well, okay, you're not taking any drugs, the doctor says you're all right, and you're pretty strong in the abdomen. So for 60 seconds, let's say you can strike your abdomen, all areas, for 60 seconds with your fist nice and hard, and you don't get tired, nothing hurts. If you can do that for 60 seconds, you're ready for the belt. Now, once you have this belt on, you're trying to break out of it. You're breaking out of your box. Remember, constant pressure in all directions. Doesn't matter if you're inhaling, exhaling. You cannot interrupt the pressure trying to break out of your box. This is going to teach you how to do Tai Chi without interruption, how to breathe without interruption. These are such important keys in Tai Chi that are so difficult to learn, but very easy, very fast, once you connect your teeth and your Tai Chi belt. You've got your belt on, you're trying to break out of it. Do not interrupt that pressure. Okay, another exercise. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Keep that belt pushed out all directions. Break out of it. Exhale, inhale. Curl your toes, expand your toes. Curl your toes, expand your toes. Grab that earth. Inhale, exhale. Break out of that belt. Now, what's all this stuff with my head? When your chi starts to pop, your brainstem has to vibrate. You got to loosen up your neck. You have to be relaxed and loose. And you do some of this stuff whenever you want at home. Get that brainstem and the occiput and the neck loose. So you'll find as the intensity goes up, you're going to start vibrating to loosen up your joints. You're vibrating from the inside out. And in Tai Chi, the 100 million people studying Tai Chi, they're not opening their joints from the inside out. But now you can with these imaginations. You'll be told before you can win, you have to know how to lose. And so one way to do that is when you're moving forward, think back. When you're moving back, think forward. Well, that's a puzzle. I could never figure it out. 30 years later. Very, very easy. I don't want you to have to wait that long. So let's just say that you're in something like a ward-off stance. Somebody is grabbing onto your arm. Some big dude grabbing onto your arm. You want to go back. He's pulling you forward. I'm trying as hard as possible to go back. You imagine he's pulling me forward. And I'm losing. I'm pushing back. He's pulling against me. I'm losing. Now, he's pushing towards me. I want to go forward. And you got that weight, that big 350-pound bruiser is pushing me back. I'm thinking, I want to go forward. Every muscle in my body, every brain cell is sweating to resist his push. Well, I've lost, but it's a good loss. When you learn to lose, that's when you can win. When you think forward, you move back. When you're moving forward, you think back. It's all got to do with your partner. Same thing up and down. When I go down, I'm thinking up. I'm losing. There's a heavy weight, more than I can handle. I want to go up. I'm pushing up against that weight. It's pushing me down. I'm losing. Can't do it. Get to this point, can't do it. I'm pushing up. It's a hard exercise. You're using your mind and your body. You're sweating. If you're not sweating, you might not be doing Tai Chi 100%, at least at the beginning. Yeah, advanced stages, things change. Now, when we think up, we also think down. Now here, you've got somebody pulling on your head. I want to go down. He's pulling on my head. Well, maybe in this case, I can win. Okay, I can feel him pulling on my head straight up, and I'm pushing down. I'm trying to pull down. Now, I want to go up. That pressure is pushing on my head. I'm trying to break through that box. You know, you got another box from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. You're trying to break out of that box. You push up, push up, push up. And I'm thinking down because I got to push against the ground. Now, another way to think is I'm pulling that weight, that string, that rope, I'm pulling it down. So I'm coming down, I'm pulling it down, I'm pulling it down. Uh-oh, now I want to push that weight up, but I'm losing, and it keeps pushing me down, but I keep pushing up. Now, I want to go up, and I want to go down at the same time. How do you do that? I'm lost. How do you go up and down at the same time? You're going to get that feeling. You're going to get that feeling where everything's happening at once. And that's a good feeling. So, you did 30, 40 minutes of Buddha tooth Tai Chi. You're going to be a little bit tired because, you know, you're using your body a lot and your mind. So you're going to be physically tired. Now, the best time to do relaxed meditation is when you're physically tired. Not when you come home from work and you're all emotionally upset and uptight. That's a difficult time to do meditative Tai Chi. That's really difficult Why make things hard on yourself? Do a physical 99% Buddha tooth Tai Chi, using your mind 100%, using your body 100%. And when you're done, that's the best time to do your 1% relaxed meditative Tai Chi. Just relax. Inhale, you feel good because you just stretched out all the joints in your body. You're relaxing all the muscles and joints in your body. This is a good time to relax those fingertips and those hands. Stretch out your toes. Just relax your body, jiggle a little bit. This is the time that you're going to get the most benefit from your quiet, relaxed, meditative Tai Chi. Yeah, you want to do some stuff, okay. Just go ahead and do it once you recover from your Buddha tooth. So that's the time to do meditative Tai Chi. 99% putting mind and body 100%. 1% of the time just so relaxed, droopy, and enjoy that feeling. If you're a beginner, or if you've been studying Tai Chi for 30 years and you haven't gone anywhere, get back to 99% Buddha tooth Tai Chi. You'll never regret it, I promise you. Thank you very much. I sincerely am grateful that you took the time to watch this DVD. If you have any questions at all about what you saw and heard, if you'd like more information, just visit my website, fit4zip.com. Thank you.
Thank you.